Being Fat by me, Chad Dukes. Chapter 2, Flying Fat. Steel yourself, gentle reader. I don't enjoy flying. If that sounds like the edgy, provocative content you signed up for when you stumbled across this manifesto, by all means read on. If I'm being more honest, I don't mind the act of flying. It's just the part about sitting in an uncomfortable chair and eating bad snacks until you arrive at your destination or plummet to your death. Come to think of it, when you're fat, that describes most of your life. Sitting in a chair designed for a thinner person and waiting for the sweet relief of either death or your next butterscotch crimpet. I have such an amazing amount of cognitive dissonance when it comes to flying. You're in a metal tube hurling through the heavens at a breakneck pace. But air travel is demonstrably safer than ground travel. We can watch pornography on our phones while we're 20,000 feet in the air, presumably to hold us over until we can watch pornography on our phones in our hotel room. Sure, the prices for a Coors Light mid-flight are pretty steep, but Jesus, we've come a long way from finding a wagon trail capable of getting us to Yuma so that we could all die of consumption like civilized people. That said, fuck flying. Every single aspect of it toots an enormous quantity of peckers. Let's start with the price. More aptly stated, what the airlines would have you believe is the price, but really just serves as a hard deck for the add-on charge bukkake session they have in store for you. And believe you me, those boys have been eating oysters and loading up on gas station dick pills, waiting for you to visit grandma. I recently booked some airfare and decided to splurge on preferred coach, which sounds like a made-up term, because it is. Basically, what this granted me was a seat in the first 10 rows. Not first class, mind you. Oh, certainly not. Those tickets had already been gobbled up at $1,200 a pop by what appeared to be the cast of The Hills Have Eyes. Seriously, didn't people used to wear suits on a plane? How did this slovenly, Google-eyed lot acquire the funds necessary to avoid the horrendous trappings of coach? If an airplane were a colon, first class would be the only portion not ravaged by Crohn's disease. Naturally, we could discuss malfunctioning colons all day, but let's move on. I paid roughly double for what a standard plebe would pay for coach, so I found it curious when I noticed I was listed in group 6 for boarding purposes. You know, the last goddamn group to be allowed onto the cattle car before they just start strapping people to the wing. How could this be? I paid to sit in the front. The people that pay for first class get to board first. Why would I go last? Luckily, my naive line of thinking would be remedied by one click of the mouse later as I was prompted to pay an additional $44 for preferred boarding. $44 for something that should be included in the exorbitant cost of the tiny chair I paid to sit in for 5 hours. $44 additional for something that doesn't physically exist. For $44, I should receive a country fried pork chop and some manual release while the other passengers in front of me are whipped with garden hoses. Seriously, for $44, Leslie Nielsen should backhand everyone in the middle seat until I drift off to sleep. And so begins the never-ending cavalcade of financial ass-pounding administered by the airlines. $35 to check your bag, and you better check your bag, because after Group 6 finally gets to board, Groups 1 through 5 have already thrown their Fiat-sized carry-ons into the overhead. No space for you assholes in the fuck 6 mafia. It's a financial funicular carrying you upward until your credit card is maxed out and your daughter's knocked up. I've seen it 100 times before. Ironically, this is the only place I would welcome being frisked for some extra cash that the travel industry has yet to catch on to. The concept is worth billions, and yet here I am about to give it away for free. Ah, well, such is life. Get your number 2 pencils out, asshole airline people. The shootster is about to make you a mint. Premium toilets. $5 a throw. $10 a throw. Whatever. Sign me up right now. A 1-seater bathroom with soundproof walls, moist towelettes, a deadbolt, and the essence of elderflower being pumped through the ductwork. Do you know how many times I've walked into an airport bathroom and encountered a digestive death march? I don't know if this happens in women's bathrooms the same way it happens in men's bathrooms, but I suspect as much. This phenomenon occurs after travelers deplane and are so desperate to shit, they actually line up in front of occupied toilets. They wait for for their chance to walk into an acrid cloud of another man's leavings and drop their quivering bare cheeks onto the warm toilet seat. A seat still reeling from the fecal pounding it just took, given no quarter as the relentless brown assault continues. It's as if instead of pushing a boulder up a hill, Sisyphus loaded up on pasta options from Sbarro at the Hartsfield-Jackson airfield and was doomed to take a never-ending dump when he reached Charlotte International. To avoid this process and the savages that take part in it, the solution is simple. Charge me money. Rip me off. Take advantage of the situation. I'll happily pay. How about we take it a step further, shall we? Let's Uber the hell out of this whole deal. Apply surge pricing for premium toilets during weekends and holidays or after a plane returns from Juarez, Mexico. I don't care. Anything to avoid dropping mud in the killing field that is a crowded airport bathroom. Have the water closet pressure washed every 30 minutes with sand and bleach. Offer up a membership card, like Subway. 9 premium shits at Phoenix Sky Harbor, and your 10th bout of diarrhea is free. No more avoiding deviled egg appetizers at Wingdings and Reagan National before your flight. We should go all the way with this deal. Free colonoscopies for everyone that eclipses 45 usages in a calendar year. Judging by the sounds exploding from the stalls of these hellholes, it seems like people could use one. The process would work twofold. Firstly, the animals that would put themselves through waiting in front of a public toilet to shit do not value themselves enough to pay for this service. A few dollars for a better life, those plebes would be a non-factor. Second, the fancy people like you and I, who would rather die than allow strangers to hear them throw spackle inside of a porcelain bowl, are incredibly motivated customers. They would frequent this service often with the reverence it deserves. Let's get rich, people. And by let's, I mean who's ever reading this genius course correction and implements it. Whoever does that is getting their children's college tuition paid by me.